This is Fearless Careerist with Dr. Catherine Robert. In this Foundations episode, Catherine discusses a new way of thinking about career progression with the introduction of the Career Skills Bingo card, and welcomes back Dr. Eileen Ediger to discuss. Subscribe to CatherineRobertEDD.com to receive your copy of the Career Skills Bingo card discussed in today's episode.
Really, and that's my whole premise, is this idea that we need to normalize our career change, our job change. So we're going to change jobs so much. It needs to be a normal thing to talk about and to not feel like, oh, I don't know this. It's like, no, this is what I don't know. This is what I need to learn. And that should be a normal thing for everybody.
Here's Catherine Robert.
Welcome to this special episode of Fearless Careerist. Today, fan favorite Eileen Ediger, Fearless Careerist guest number 1, returns to help me talk about the Career Skills Bingo card. Welcome back, Eileen.
Hello, glad to be here.
How was your summer?
It was too short and filled with all kinds of activity.
Hopefully you're ready for another school year.
Getting there, preparing as we speak.
We've already started in some parts of Chicago.
Oh my gosh, I know. Don't remind me.
Yeah, and I decided to set the podcast schedule to the school schedule. It just, once in the school schedule, always in the school schedule.
I know. Yeah, I hear that.
All right, so I've shared the Career Skills Bingo card with you. Take it away. What questions do you have?
I had an initial question right out of the gate. I thought it was a cool idea, but backing the truck up a little bit. When I looked at it, I thought, okay, this is kind of like part rubric, part bingo. So I'm interested in your idea, and what is your idea of like why it's important for us to think about careers in this way?
Yeah. As I've been researching career stages as we know them, I looked for a consistent, like one definition, and I thought, okay, well, let me look at all the research. Let me do an exhaustive lit review and look at all of the research about how we define career stages. And guess what? There was no agreement. No one used the one thing. I found a grouping. It was a great lit review. And they said, look, most career research defines career stages as either based on your age, and that derives from Donald Super's Life Career Rainbow. And so that's where that research originated. And that's based on age. So then the other researchers have used the time that you've been in a profession or the time that you've been at a company as a way to define it. But I realized that this is an old definition. It doesn't fit our patterns anymore.
Yeah.
We don't settle into one place and stay there forever in the way that we did in the 70s when Donald Super first wrote about this. Plus, we're not retiring as early as they did in the 70s. So we just need a new definition because so much of our professional development is based on this concept of career stages. And so since that's outdated, we may not be getting the right professional development for us at the right time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. The career stage bingo card more accurately places individual skills versus these broad spans of our lives or our particular job. It's more attuned to a fast-paced, ever-changing career that we see today.
Well, I'm a little shocked to hear from you that the research on career development and career pathways has not caught up with the reality of experience,
I was surprised too.
which is fascinating because certainly the technology and the effort and the money that is put into recruitment and all that is certainly present and in the forefront of at least in what I interact in. But you'd think that
a common HR conversation is, are you hiring for specific skills or are you hiring
exactly
a general, are you hiring for someone who's done that exact same job or are you hiring someone who can learn? And more often they're hiring for someone who's done that exact same job for a million years. And it's really unrealistic. And it's pretty frustrating when you hear people say, oh, we just couldn't find someone. It's like, well, you're just not looking the right way.
Yeah. And it's a shame too, because I've known colleagues who are looking for work, right? And especially since the job market has turned on its head, who are perfectly skilled, according to old definitions should have no problem finding work, but the way that the job market is working now, it's based on skill and who can they pay the least for these skills. And but you have people who are far more skilled and who do a better job and I don't know.
Yeah, you
It's
and I are in the education research world, and I would rather hire someone that understands the data and teach
Yes.
them Python or whatever
Right, right,
today's current method
right.
is. Like, that's
Mhm,
so much easier versus teaching an
mhm.
understanding of the data itself.
Right, 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 right. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay. So the bingo card. Where did you get this idea for a bingo card?
These skills are based on things that I've either used,
Mhm.
learned, or developed on the job,
Mm.
and I organized it based on a logical progression of
Mhm.
what you need on day 1 in a job and
Mhm.
hopefully what you develop over time. I put it into this in one way to make it more fun, but in another way to help us. I didn't want it to be too linear because
Yeah.
that's the whole point is that every
Mhm.
time we start a new job, we need to go back and think, wait, for this new place, what are the
Yeah.
today's skills that I need to learn? So
Yeah.
the idea is instead of following this straight line trajectory through our
Mhm.
careers, we are constantly moving through that, revisiting things that we thought we
Mhm.
already knew or learning the update to that. And so that we look upon it more as something that we can dig into and have fun with and say, okay,
Mhm.
it's time to update this or wait, new job. I haven't really learned how to do a particular thing. So that's why a card versus a line. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. You started to talk about where the origin of these specific skills that are on the card came from.
Yeah. Let me pull up the card. These were all skills that I either, as I said, used, developed, or needed on a particular job throughout my career. And
Mhm.
it's what I started seeing my guests on the podcast talk about as well.
Yeah.
And so they're loosely organized based on day 1. That's the beginner.
Mhm.
And they move through once you harness those beginner skills, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Then what do you do next?
Mhm.
And think about this. You may already have a future planning mindset, which is way over here in the
Mhm.
grooming category.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
on day 1, obviously you've done your new employee orientation,
Yeah.
right? You need to learn how to log into the email, very simple things.
Yeah,
So
for
even
sure.
if you already know and have skills in these other areas, it's really just helping you think through step 1 in your
Yeah.
particular job. And like networking, of course, you're doing that all the time,
Mhm.
but there are specific things in networking that takes time in your particular job as you develop
Mhm.
that. So that's the idea is that where do you start and how do you flesh out your particular role
Mhm.
and your career as you go through it?
Yeah. So I'm going to make some observations now that I think are pretty cool about this. When I first looked at it, I thought, oh, this is kind of like a rubric. I'm like, no, it is kind of like a bingo card. I do appreciate like the merging of the two concepts. And the thing that I like about this is the developmental aspect of it. In that sense, it's not quite a bingo card because
Right.
the idea is, but I think as I'm looking at this as a new career person and how it can be motivational to see myself check off, quote unquote,
Mhm.
check off boxes that are in more advanced areas
Right.
while fulfilling or while checking off tasks or accomplishments in the more, beginner initial columns. And
Yeah.
so you can tally your growth as a professional. And each box has depth in it of itself and can be an area of skill development. Which is neat too. And a person can be an expert in office applications. And that in and of itself, like if you're an expert in office applications, that is something to market, right? And which is kind of cool, right? And so this can help in writing up your Vita or writing up a resume and organizing your cover letters. And it summarizes your goals and your accomplishments. Yeah,
Yeah, I like
it's
that idea. I like thinking about it as a rubric because we may know the basics of something, but we may need to flesh
Mhm.
out the particular skills, such as front desk, the very
Mhm.
first skill, knowing how to be polite, but there's the advanced skill to that of there's polite and then there's making someone feel comfortable in the space.
Right, right. Yeah.
And there's multiple fronts, right? There's actually in person, there's
Mhm.
online, there's on the phone.
Mhm.
There's so many different ways we need to make people feel comfortable. And for some of us, it's not our first skill.
Mhm.
I mean, but I'm saying it should be the first skill.
I know. Step number 1, learn how to talk to people.
I had so many guests say that they think that every teenager should work a frontline service job, because
Oh my
that's where
gosh,
you learn
right?
the skill.
Oh my Yeah, this is pretty cool. And my other question too was it would be interesting to see how these topics have emerged with your podcast participants.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I developed them over time this last year, and it was fun to see different guests talk about different things. The younger solopreneurs that I've spoken with have some of these skills in the grooming and
Mhm.
optimizing that some of us don't develop till much later in our career,
Yeah.
but they certainly have a future planning mindset, because they
Mhm.
understand the rollout of a particular idea and the time schedule to that versus when you're new in an organization as a peon, right? Your first level job, you're just there thinking from day to day. You don't have much grasp on future other than when's the deadline for this particular project.
Mhm.
But future planning mindset, that comes into a much larger scale of for my department, my organization,
Mhm.
harnessing trends and how do we need to shift and move with large ideas. That's something that I do see folks developing more quickly if they've been on
Mhm.
their own in their own company, so to speak.
I see potential theoretical framework, Dr. Rob. There's a
Right.
research gap to be filled here. Oh.
Yes, I hope to generate conversation about the idea of our career stages and how the linear thought
Yeah.
no longer applies.
Yeah. There's definitely I mean, if there is the gap, it's more than a gap, it's like more like it sounds like it's more like a chasm. Then, I mean, I think that this would definitely resonate with, um, folks who are advanced in their careers as well as young people who are
Right.
entering their careers as well.
I think it's
Mhm.
important for people who are advanced in their careers to not feel like it's starting over when they go back to the beginner
Right.
row.
Right, right.
Let's take
Mhm.
someone that we see in the world of education who, let's take a teacher or
Mhm,
professor who has been in that role for 20 years. This is a common pattern that we've
mhm.
we've seen a lot of teachers ready for something different, right?
Yeah.
After that long in their
Mhm.
particular job. And they probably have done this full card, this full bingo card almost
Yeah.
by their first 20 years, but then they're ready for something different
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
most definitely are learning new software, right, when they come in. So
Yeah.
someone that if you go into education research, for example, you're gonna be using Power BI and you're
Mhm.
gonna dabble in Python and maybe a
Mhm.
little
Mhm.
SAS. So that's new if you've been
Mhm.
in the teaching world. It's a new job to learn.
Mhm. Mhm.
You used to deal with angry students and now you're dealing with
Yeah.
now you may have someone who's on a deadline and they want that data.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and you are presenting in a way you maybe have not presented
Yeah.
before. Certainly your audience is different. But
Mhm.
it's not a backwards. It's just
No,
simply
it's a new context.
exactly.
Yeah.
So really it and that's my whole premise is this idea that we need to normalize our career change, our job
Yeah.
change. So we're going to change jobs so much. It needs to be a normal thing to talk about and to
Yeah.
not feel like, "Oh, I don't know this." It's like, "No, I this is what I don't know, this is what I need to learn." And
Yeah.
that should be a normal thing for everybody.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
then for people who are maybe stuck, who haven't found a way out of where they wanna go, then to
Yeah.
me, this card helps them think through, "Well, where am I stuck? What have I not done yet
Right. Right.
in the role I'm in?" And that's where this networking comes in and service
Mhm.
to profession. Have you joined a professional
Mhm.
organization? Have you gone to
Mhm.
conferences? Have you presented? Have you
Yeah.
volunteered in your
Right. Right.
profession?
Yeah, that's a good
And
point. Yeah.
And that's so needed right now as our professional organizations are suffering mightily under the cost of
Really?
travel, and it's
Yeah.
hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
get people together.
Sure.
So there's so much you can do to support your profession.
Yeah.
And if you are thinking about a different profession,
Mhm.
then maybe you need to look at training, you know,
Mhm.
maybe a different degree. Of course, you and I are always gonna say, "Oh, go get a degree," but haha, but it doesn't have to be a new degree. It could be a credential. It could just be research
Yeah.
on your own.
PD,
Look
right. Like, it could but and, yeah, learning's a new skill can happen on so many different levels. It
in
doesn't have
any
to be.
way, yeah. But
Yeah.
moving into that, so much of the grooming skills is if you've entered leadership.
Mhm.
You may have trained for leadership and
Mhm.
may not have entered it. In the principal world, a lot of people get a principal certification but never actually
Sure.
become an assistant
Right.
principal, which is
Right, right,
first
right.
level. But they may become a department chair or coordinator. It really helps to be in a specific leadership role to develop that perspective.
Mhm.
And that one's tricky. It's hard to get without being in a leadership role. So
Mhm.
you may
Mhm.
not hit every box in this card.
Yeah, and I was just trying to think there are different contexts in which one can demonstrate leadership without being in a designated leadership position. So
Absolutely.
whether
Yeah,
it is taking the leadership in projects or taking initiative on different programs, it may not be a permanent designated role, but it's I think each field or position has different ways to demonstrate leadership without being in a leadership
I like
position.
that. Yeah, I think embracing your role, even if you maybe are frustrated and didn't get promoted into something, right?
Right.
Embracing the thing that you are the leader of. Because yeah,
Mhm.
if you've been there for 20 years, if you've been in your profession for 20 years, you're
Mhm.
a leader in something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whether it's a particular project or a particular topic, we had people in
Mhm.
charge of a particular report
Mhm.
filing that was due,
Mhm.
every year, and it's a very big deal.
Mhm.
And so if you're a leader in that, then you still have that responsibility as a
Correct.
leader to train people under you and to learn the skills here. And so there's plenty to do there. And don't forget the leading up part. This is
Mhm.
what I think as you enter the later years of your career, it's important to understand that what you're providing to people in a higher level position is they are depending on your support for the work that you're doing
Yeah.
in a way that they didn't depend on you as much when you were 22, and it was your first time doing a report. But when you're the trusted provider, it's a different
Yes.
story.
Yeah. I could start to tell you I am just getting that sense like recently. Isn't that wild? I am a longtime faculty member here,
Okay.
and I have always thought that I'm not new, but I'm relatively new-ish. But I'm like, wait, I'm entering my 15th year here. I've been here longer than many of the people here. Yeah, I have longevity now, which is shocking to me because I have not had that point of view. And so I'm recognized now as having institutional history and institutional knowledge. And there's a given level of respect in that, both from my colleagues and from the dean, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be hard when your superior makes twice as much as you do. That can
I
be
know.
difficult to want to support their role.
I know.
We can certainly go down a rabbit hole of talking about salaries, but so that can be
Yeah.
tough. Nonetheless, where if you're a member of an organization, they do need your input. So it can be hard. It can require putting the ego aside. Um,
Hmm.
but I've had jobs where I've left if I felt like I couldn't be supportive.
Yeah,
And that
for
kind of
sure.
comes into the leave the right way. When
Oh, yeah.
once you get it, once you understand your organization, you understand the role, you understand your
Mhm.
place in it. And if there's been a change that you just really can't get on board with, if you can't
I can
embrace it,
identify.
sure. I mean, if you can't embrace it, if you can't be a positive contribution to the organization, and if you've given yourself a chance, like don't just react, right? But if
Mhm.
you've given yourself a chance, then get the heck out of there. I mean, that's terrible to say, but I really believe
No.
this. And I I try to be really empathetic if someone really can't leave.
Yeah.
You have your right now needs, as I like to call them, and a lot of people can't just leave a job, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
I really do understand that, but as soon as I was financially able to leave a job, then I did. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, I figure, okay, they're paying me. I'm gonna be a good sport about it, you know.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
that's some of the harder parts, especially when you're higher
Sure.
up in an organization. That can
Yeah.
be really
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. And it's tough too.
Okay, what is missing here? What did you think when you looked at it? What were you looking for?
I don't know. This is coming at a very interesting time because I'm going up for promotion. I'm in the process of putting my materials together for my promotion packet.
Ah, okay. To go up for full
Yikes!
professor?
Yes.
Aha.
And I'm going early too with dean approval. So this is what I mean. I'm taking advantage. I'm like, hey, can I do this? He's like, sure. I'm like, yes. So strike while the iron is hot. I'm like, hey, you know what? If I have the support, why not? So I'm going to be looking at this. So I don't necessarily think that there's anything missing per se, but I think for me the key part of this that I would be looking for is the developmental piece, which is definitely here. For the most part, it's applicable in most, or at least the settings that I've been in, it's applicable in most settings.
Yeah, I'm hoping to hear from other professions,
Hmm.
um, hear people's feedback.
I think that there's some potential for publication and contribution to the field, dare I say, theoretical framework.
Yeah.
See some people doing some work on this as
Yes. I mean, that's
some data collection and
I'm certainly doing the data collection right now.
so wouldn't it be cool if you applied, you use this as a theoretical framework and then posited it, publish it?
Yes, in the first book, I'm applying it to my career and basically walking through each of these things in that first book. But yeah, I like the
Hmm.
idea of applying it to the research that I've conducted.
Yeah, that's very methodologically sound.
Yeah.
Coming
Oh,
from a methodologist, I say yes.
I'm certainly enjoying the design your workspace category here at the end of once you know how you like to work, what works best for you, then
Yeah.
do it.
Okay,
Whether it's
I will say when I was looking at this, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I am in the last column." What is the title of the last
oh,
column? Yeah,
optimizing,
I'm definitely in that row. I'm doing all of this right now.
right?
Um, which is like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I should be. I'm like, I feel old, but yeah, I'm doing I'm like deep in that.
If you achieve everything in optimizing, do you think it means that you then have to go back to the beginner, like you have to find another role? Do you think that's what it's
Um,
implying? Like start over.
it's yeah, and I think at some point it's slowly getting there because I think for me at least, there have been a lot of backtrack I don't know if it's backtracking is the right word, but there's been like looping back. So
Mhm.
I get stuck in between improving and beginner. So there's a lot of going back and forth in there. And
Yeah.
then between networking and beginner. So there's a lot of like, okay, I network, I think what I want, but then I'm like, no, that's not it. So I have to go back to something else and then I have to relearn some whatever. And then there's a lot that goes back and forth between future planning mindset. I'm like, yeah, I'm in this trajectory. I'm like, yeah, nope, this your future says otherwise. Go
Grades are
back
due
and
this week.
I know, go back and office apps, relearn some other and then so you have to go back and do some other stuff. So there's a lot of like going back and replanning and
Yeah.
rethinking what but I think all of it though defines where you land in the optimizing. And I don't know if necessarily the goal is to be in optimizing, but I think the path to the last row is really important. And I think that yes, it is a goal to accomplish these things because for me at least, I think it speaks to fulfillment. So optimizing to me is like this is how optimizing means fulfillment. So balance is fulfillment. Being a mentor and a champion for my students and for what I believe in terms of research is fulfillment. separating the self and role, that is an accomplishment, that is fulfillment. So all of that brings meaning to my life and to my work and gives me
Yeah.
balance and happy. But it says to me that I have reached a point where I can say, all right, I get it now. I get why I had to do all that. Like it makes sense now why I had to do all this crap
Yeah.
leading up to this point. And I'm happy. And this is great. And I'm in a good place. Like I have so much I have to do, granted, but it's all good. It's all good stuff that I have to do. And I chose all this. I have laid my bed and I made my bed.
Yeah. I hope it gives comfort to those who are earlier in their careers
Yeah.
that you may feel like you got it all, but there's more to come.
There
You have
is,
more to
yeah,
do.
and I tell this to young folks too. It is you have to take advantage of what is happening in the moment
Right.
and try to embrace what is happening right now because whatever's going to happen down the road is going to happen. But if you
Yeah.
don't take care of what's happening right now, the future is not going to take care of itself.
Yeah. And
So
I would definitely say don't race through this card.
no,
This
absolutely not. Not worth it.
we've met so many as since we train leaders, we know that most leaders are habitual overworkers and
Yeah.
it's a race. Everything's a race, right?
Right.
So this is not a race. This is a
No.
dig in, enjoy, feel
Yeah.
really good about something. Because
Hmm.
you will not. This is not something that you can accomplish in a year or by
No.
getting a degree.
Yeah.
That's only leadership training is not you're not necessarily ready to be a leader, right?
Yeah.
At that
Yeah.
point. But I wanted to tell you, I got my example, my thoughts about networking. You are one of my inspirations for that. You and our colleague Mary Lee are excellent.
Yay.
Yeah, y'all are good inter and intra departmental
Hmm.
networkers. So it's not just about networking on LinkedIn or at
Hmm.
conferences. To me, a really good networking practice involves working with people throughout your organization
Yeah.
and your profession. So it's
Hmm.
and not in your profession, right? So, in our context at a university, for example, it was really important to know people in different
Yeah.
departments who did completely
Yep.
different jobs. And you are really
Mhm.
good at that.
Yeah. I was just talking to one of my dissertators, my students, and she works in the School of Business. And I was telling her about the research collaborative that I am trying to launch right now. And she didn't know anything about it. She's like, oh my God, tell me more. So I was telling her about the work that I do. And she was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that you do all that. Because she just thought that I just teach these two classes. I'm like, no, I do a lot more. She's like, oh my gosh, you do so much. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm not really happy unless there's 15 things I'm doing at the same time.
Unless you have a lot of place in the air.
Yes.
But it takes time to
It
develop
does.
those longer term projects.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I had one other thing that I thought this really speaks to Eileen. It goes without saying that you are an excellent mentor and champion. A lot of professors actually have that job to do, but you're amazing at it. What are some of your favorite stories from championing people in their field?
And this just happened to be the case, but I got this reputation of being the closer. I have this nickname. So there's a couple of us, but me and this other faculty member have this nickname of being the closer. There was a lot of turnover in the leadership, and there was a doctoral program that had a lot of folks who had just languished in it and they were just kind of hanging on and had been in it for a while. And no one really was working with any of these students to close them out of the program
Mhm.
and get them over the finish line to to complete their degree. And I was just like, give me all of them. And I got them all finished. And so I got the name the closer. I love a good challenge. And other faculty be like, how can you work? So what people don't understand is that I don't consider it work because I'm not doing any of the work. I read the stuff and I give them guidance. I'm like, do this, tell me more about this, give me an argument about this, find citations here, tell me more about this, please don't include this, stay on top. Just
Mhm.
guidance. That's it.
Mhm.
And then they do it, and then they're on their way. And then it's part this, and it's a lot of counseling. So I use methodology,
Yeah.
and it's like the merging of stuff. It just and it takes time and energy to meet with, and that's maybe this is why people just a lot of faculty don't take on people because it takes time and energy. I'm like, this is not work for me. It's time and energy, but I don't mind it because this relationship building is easy for me to do. And just giving my attention to these students, they are like dying for it and they want it and they need it. And this is all it takes for this easy support, this half an hour every
Mhm.
other week is all
Mhm.
they need to finish their degree. And if this is all it takes,
That's awesome. So you had this is a skill you already had. You probably had this coming in the door,
yeah,
but which one would you say you don't have right now?
a skill.
Yeah, of these skills, which
Um,
one do you think?
so this is outside working with, maybe this might be working with students, like an interpersonal communication that I do not have and I dread it and I'm like getting cold sweats thinking about it is entering a room of people and just talking to whoever. My initial idea of networking is like going into a room of people and just like, all right, go meet people. I'm like, hell no. No, thank you. No, no way. I will go in there and put my face against the wall. No, no, thank you.
So, like, at a conference, being in a
Yeah.
room
Oh
of
my
people you don't
God.
know?
Like mixers and like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I would rather no. Either that or no, I can't do that. Or like small talk and like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, just kill
They're
me
making it
now.
easier. I don't know if you've seen this at conferences, but there's so many sessions that I'm seeing. As a matter of fact, one that I'm going to for the Education Law Association, they're changing up the sessions that they offer, the types of sessions to allow for specific activities designed to help you talk to people. There's mentoring sessions that you can sign up for.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I went to at AERA, I went to the division and even subdivision specific.
right.
I took a candidate, a student with me because she was interested. I'm like, I'll go with you because you're interested. So I'm like, I'm not interested in networking, but I'll help you do this. It was semi-structured and it was still totally awkward. It was like still, but what you're talking about sounds a little bit different.
I've seen a variety of different sessions, but I've seen meetups that are not really about content, that you go because you have this particular interest and there's a
Oh,
facilitator, you sit at tables. So it's kind of like going to a round table
yes, yeah. I
presentation,
was just gonna
except
say,
there's no presentation.
yeah.
It's here's a prompt for
Yeah.
questions.
Yes, and I was just gonna say when we presented at our roundtable, that was probably the most productive networking,
Mhm.
opportunity that we had because it
Yeah.
was like-minded people, we had a topic to discuss, and, we made some good connections and contacts in that setting. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was torture.
Well, if anyone feels like Eileen, that one of the tricks is going to smaller conferences, certainly looking for all of those
Mhm,
meetup and networking sessions. And for me, I set a goal to try to talk to 2 people, and I won't let myself
mhm.
leave until I've done it.
Oh my gosh. I had to start making connections with community partners in order to build
Oh,
my,
that's hard.
yes, I know. So I know, like, be careful what I asked for, right? Because I had the green light to start to build my network of community folks for CREET, for this collaborative. And so, great, CELTS, which is the Center for Education and Learning and Teaching and Scholarship at Loyola,
Mhm.
they had a community partner event which is perfect, right? And it's all the community partners there. I can hawk my wares. Great. And I could do this. So I get there and I'm talking to the sales folks. I'm like, oh my God, I have to talk to people. I can't take it. They're like, oh my gosh, you're such a spaz. So, but he said, I already have identified one person, which was the person from Waldorf. And that was great. But then I said, okay, there's a table of people over there. I'm just going to go over there and just talk to them. I have to do this because I'm a grown up. I can do this. I can't be such a chicken. I just have to do this. Then there was a salesperson who was like-minded, just like, "You got this, you can do this." I'm like, "Shut up, just quit making fun of me." So I did it. I went over there. I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna do it." So I did, and I sat down, I introduced who I was, and I said, "I'm a faculty member, I'm doing this thing." And they were interested, and then, and it was fine. It was fine. So, I don't know why I work myself into a lather about this stuff, but, it's just
Yeah. We always have something to work on.
you put it so nicely.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. I have trouble with balance, I'm one of those overworkers and would rush through a checklist of things as much as anyone would. So it's like I'm talking to my former self or to people who have those same personality traits of just relax, just stay in it. You're doing fine. Just enjoy the ride. And that's a terrible thing to say for people who are strivers. It's just going to go right through. They're like, yeah, whatever, They're just not going to listen to the advice to
Oh
enjoy
my
the
gosh.
ride.
This is why you and I are friends. So I'm like, it'll take care of itself. Just do it.
So yeah, I guess if you're a striver, don't enjoy it. Just really dig into each of these skills instead. That'll help you slow down
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
and
right.
get what you need to get out of the experience you're in. How about
That's
that?
right. Amazing.
Well, Eileen, I really appreciate you joining me for the premiere of what we hope is a new theoretical framework and
Very
in the
cool.
concept of our careers. And I hope you have a great school year.
Thanks. Me
And
too.
we will hopefully see you again in season 2 of Fearless Careers. Thanks for joining.
Amazing. Good luck to you. Yes.
Thanks. To learn more about the Career Skills Bingo card or to contact me, see the links in our show notes. I'm so excited you're here. And remember, you're not alone on your career journey. Together, we can share our stories, move boldly into that perfect job, and we can light the path for our future fearless careerists. I'm Catherine Robert, and I can't wait to hear your story.
Fearless Careerist is available on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Subscribe there or visit us at CatherineRobertEDD.com.